The Octagon returns to New York City for UFC 322 this weekend as two fighters look to realise glory at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. Former lightweight king Islam Makhachev moves up to face reigning welterweight champion Jack Della Maddalena. And former strawweight queen Zhang Weili takes on dangerous flyweight champion Valentina Shevchenko. Plus, Leon Edwards returns to action against fellow striker Carlos Prates. It all goes down live this Saturday night on TNT Sports and Discovery Plus. The prelims kick off at 1 a.m. with the main card from 3. Welcome to Fight Week and your official preview of UFC 322. I'm Adam Catterall. It is a pleasure, as always, to be in your company and the company of these two. Nick Peet, the smiling assassin, and the Hall of Famer, Mr. Michael Bisping. I can tell you, lads, I don't know what the weather's like where you are, boys, but it's not Abu Dhabi, let me tell you. But we've got a firecracker of a card, Mike, to get us all heated up.
Well, it is going to be freezing in New York, as it always is at this time of year. But I tell you what, you're absolutely right. What a fight card this is, from top to bottom, from the early prelims all the way through to the main event. It is stacked. We've got not one title fight, but 2 title fights and 2 people attempting to become a 2-weight division champion. It truly is a special night.
Glory hunters, Nick. That's what this one's all about, mate. Glory hunters in the main and co-main. Never been done before where we've had 2 on the same night. We've seen it on multiple occasions, obviously multiple weight world champion attempts, but 2 on the same night is going to be a special one in New York City.
I think that's why it's at Madison Square Garden. As you've just said then, the world's most famous sports arena. As you say, the first time 2 fighters are aiming to go double trouble. Sensational.
Fancy a quiz, lads? Can you name the ones that have achieved it in the past? Can you name the ones in UFC history that have become 2-weight champions?
Now, hold on a minute. There's a distinction. Are we talking simultaneous 2-weight division champions?
Look at him,
or
he's
are we
doing
talking champions that have achieved such greatness? Because if we're talking not simultaneous, you've got the greats like Randy Couture. You've got BJ Penn. Yes. You've got people like that. Or are you talking these modern, Johnny-come-lately newbie 2-weight division champions that are doing it at the same time?
Michael, you've spotted me, mate. It was all in the semantics. I was trying to catch you out, but I can't catch you out, mate. I've got to get up earlier to catch you out. You are right to obviously refer to the greats of the Randy Coutures and the BJ Penns. Go on, Nick. You're the historian amongst us, mate. Go for it, pal. Name them. Give us a blast.
Chronological order.
Oh, he's going big. That's going big. Go
Mike's
on, then.
kicked us off there with Randy and BJ. Obviously, we didn't see it for years after that. Then along came Conor McGregor, the first ever simultaneous 2-weight champion. Then we had GSP. Then Daniel Cormier also went simultaneous. Amanda Nunes did it. Henry Cejudo. They're the 4 who did simultaneous. And then since then, we've had John Jones go to double, Alex Pereira, and most recently of all, Ilia Topuria. There's the 10 in UFC history that have won 2-weight champions.
Look at
it's almost like he's sitting there looking at a computer screen, maybe with a few little notes on there. But whatever, it's Correct. Okay. Well read, Nick. Well read.
Thanks, Mike.
But on the note of it, Mike, I mean, it really does send someone into the stratosphere being able to do it. I mean, you know yourself, it's very difficult to do it in one weight category. To be able to go up and do it in another weight category, I mean, that's some achievement.
Yeah, it's insane. And certainly when you look at Islam Makhachev, this is somebody that's defended the belt at lightweight 4 times. And that's what I really like about this, because we know it's become a bit of a trend lately. Somebody becomes the champion and straight away they want to jump up to another division because there's no risk. If you lose the fight going up a weight class or down a weight class, as some people have tried to, and you lose that fight, you're still the champion in your respective weight class. That is not what Islam Makhachev's done. He's kind of cleaned house at lightweight. All right, granted, there's still 1 or 2 other great fights for him there if he hadn't have moved away. But he defended the belt 4 times. That's more than anyone else in the history of the sport. And now he's moved up to 170 to take on Jack Della Maddalena, who stylistically is not an easy matchup. So fair play to Islam Makhachev. He's done it the right way. He's defended the belt 4 times before he said, hold on a minute, give me the same opportunity that Alexander Volkanovski had.
And for the first time in a bit, he is a challenger. We can't forget that coming into this fight, Nick, because the guy that he's facing in Jack Della Maddalena has been near enough perfect in his UFC tenure. 8 fights, 8 victories, but a lot of finishes in there. I don't think he's lost since his first 2 fights in MMA. This is a big task for Islam Makhachev. He's used to going in as the favourite. This is a big one for him.
Yeah, and you know what? By the time the fight starts on Saturday, he may well start as favourite again, even though all the physical advantages you would think would be in favour of the defending champion. But for me, it is all about Islam. It's all about him trying to achieve greatness. You know, he's defended his belt against a wannabe two-weight champion, Alexander Volkanovski. He deserves this opportunity to go one step beyond, if you like, Khabib, his mentor, his coach, his teammate, because Khabib is still kind of argued as one of the greatest of all time, obviously ended his career unbeaten. But even though he had a solid reign as a lightweight, it wasn't an extensive reign. He certainly didn't jump around weight divisions. And I think Islam's just trying to define his own legacy. And I feel like in the last couple of fights especially, the manner of his performances, he has stepped out of Khabib's shadow. And dare I say it, if he wins on Saturday night, does his shadow start getting bigger than Khabib's? I think it probably does.
Mike, give us a breakdown on the styles of these two guys. From the naked eye looking on the outside, it feels like it's precision versus pressure. Is that a fair assessment, or do you see something else?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would say that, but also you could argue it's a striker versus a grappler, or more importantly, a wrestler versus a boxer. That's essentially, if you break it down to its bare minimum, that's kind of what we have here. Jack Della Maddalena's got some of the cleanest, purest boxing in the UFC. We've seen that throughout his entire UFC run, most notably against Belal Muhammad. He was able to use the footwork, the combinations were fantastic, and then you add in the takedown defense, it was a really tough night for Belal Muhammad. On the flip side, we've got Islam Makhachev. Yes, of course, the striking is always improving because he's just that guy. We're always working, we're always improving. Whatever our weaknesses are, we're trying to bring them up to our other skill level. So the striking is improving, and he certainly had moments when he went out against Dustin Poirier, one of the best strikers that we had in the lightweight division. But at his core, at his heart, he wants nothing more than to get hold of you, take you down, and choke you out. So it is kind of a striker versus a grappler, a boxer versus a wrestler. All in all, though, it is a tremendous matchup.
Nick, talk to me about size, age, experience, because you've got a younger man in Jack Della Maddalena compared to Islam Makhachev. Size-wise, you probably think that it's on his side as well, meaning his natural weight. But when it comes to experience, he's only had one main event. That's when he won the title. 5-round experience is key in big moments like this, and that would probably be on the side of Islam Makhachev.
Yeah, but I would also argue the pressure's on Islam, you know, and that's not to say he doesn't thrive under pressure. His record obviously is evident that he loves it. But, you know, he will arrive in New York with everybody talking about him, surpassing Khabib, joining the two-weight champions club, the pressure that comes with it, everything else. He's got to stand in that octagon and wait for the champion to come. And size-wise, I think there's only about an inch in it. But it's the reach advantage which Jack Della Maddalena will need to exploit, or have like the women in the co-main events as well. Height-wise, very similar on the scales, but it's the length of those arms, and it's the fact that can he keep the fight standing? Can he use that takedown defense to stuff Islam and make it a boxing match? Because even though Islam Makhachev has better boxing than Khabib, he's the next evolution, if you like, of Khabib. It isn't quite up to the standard of Jack Della Maddalena. And if Jack can make it a bit of a fist fight inside that mini octagon, keep us back off the fence and frustrate Islam, I believe he can get some points on the board. But I make no mistake, I think the pressure here is on the older statesman, the veteran, the guy that wants to get back on that top of the pound for pound list. It's all on Islam for me.
I don't disagree, but there's also an extra caveat, to use that word again, on Jack Della Maddalena. You got to remember, this is Madison Square Garden. It's his first title defense, and he's going up against Islam, and he has this kind of aura about him. And I fought George St. Pierre in a very, very similar situation at the same venue, Madison Square Garden. I'd had 28 fights in the UFC. It was my second title defense. I'd fought in nothing but main event and co-main events. And I'm telling you, even though I had one iron-torn ribs, the moment still got to me. I was like, whoa, this is next level. Do you know what I mean? This is a huge, mega super fight. And believe it or not, even as experienced as I was, and Jack doesn't have as much experience, the moment still got to me. So I think there's a potential. There's a potential that, you know, we always talk about what goes on between the ears and the nerves and all the rest of it. This is a high pressure situation for both men. And how do you deal with them on the night? Well, of course, Islam, he's been there, done it, got the t-shirt. But I agree, there is a lot of pressure as well. I think
we see it so often in professional sports these days, though, especially in professional football or soccer, if you're watching in the US. the age is dropping. These younger guys, these younger athletes are succeeding far sooner. And I think part of that is, the skill levels there, absolutely. But also, you're not old enough to respect the man in front of you or respect the team in front of you. So you're just out there to do your own thing. And hopefully if Jack's still got that young kind of, and I think he will, even though he's the champion, I think he will absolutely step into the octagon feeling like the challenger, feeling like the underdog, determined like the underdog. If he can go balls to the wall and not look across the ring and see the octagon and see Islam Makhachev, just see a target, I think he could have a good night.
I'm telling you what, I think he's massively being disrespected by the bookies here, because if you look at Jack Della Maddalena, who was his last fight, Belal Muhammad, you could argue that Belal Muhammad is a bigger, stronger version of Islam Makhachev. Look at what he did to Leon Edwards. We'll get to his fight in just a little bit. But Belal Muhammad never gets tired. He's very, very strong. He just out-grappled Leon, who defended that style many, many times. If I'm coaching Jack Della Maddalena and I want to give him a warm-up fight first, you give him Belal Muhammad. It is the perfect experience to go in. And we got to give the respect to Islam. The next step up in that terms of a style, give him Belal first, then give him Islam. So now he's got perfect experience. He'll realize what he did right, what he did wrong in that matchup as well. He'll improve on that. And I'm telling you, Islam Makhachev, he's in for a very, very tough fight here.
Well, that's how the main event shapes up. The co-main event, we've got another super fight as Valentina Shevchenko and Zhang Weili are going to be going at it. And Mike, the narrative of this one feels a little bit different to that main event. And I know that you alluded to the fact of Islam Makhachev. He's defending multiple times. He's going for glory and stepping up. Jack Della Maddalena's a new champion. These two girls in the co-main, they've wiped out their division. They need this fight. They need each other. It feels like the perfect time to do it.
Yeah, no, it really is. Valentina Shevchenko has long been one of the greatest female combat sports athletes to ever walk the planet Earth, okay? She just is. She's amazing. She can do it all. She can shoot guns. She speaks about 17 languages. She is like a real-life embodiment of Lara Croft Tomb Raider, or, like you see in these Hollywood movies, you get these girls that are spies and they're badass and they can do it all. That's Valentina Shevchenko. That's who she is. And, of course, she's been defending the belt time after time after time. On the flip side, we've got Zhang Weili. This woman is incredible. Ever since she burst on the scene and knocked out Jessica Andrade back in China to become the champion, she's been must-see TV. She can do it all. She's got a great gas tank. She's a tremendous athlete. She can wrestle. She can strike. She's phenomenal. She's cleared out the division. There's no one left for her to challenge, so why not? Let's do a super fight. Let's bang it on Madison Square Garden. This one will be fantastic.
Nick, how's your heart for this one, mate? Because I know that obviously you've got a soft spot for Valentina, but you also got a soft spot for Weili. Which way are you going, pal? What are you doing?
Well, we kind of got robbed of this fight, didn't we? Because Islam moving up took him away from Ilia Topuria. Most people would argue they're the number one and number two pound for pound. But the girls haven't done it. The girls are delivering. Shevchenko's not moving up just yet. I think that might come before we see it at the end of her career. But we're getting the pound for pound number one against the pound for pound number two in female MMA right now this Saturday night. I absolutely cannot wait for it. You talk about experience. What is it? Eight title fights for Weili, 2 stints as champion, 12 consecutive title fights for Shevchenko. Absolutely incredible stuff. There's only one human being that has been in the octagon for more championship time than Shevchenko, and that's the perennial GOAT, John Jones. Only John Jones has had more championship time in the octagon than Shevchenko. That speaks volumes about her career and where she should be. Should she not be on the Mount Rushmore? Maybe that's a bigger conversation. But I'm telling you now, these are the 2 best female fighters on the planet. I literally cannot wait for it. Anywhere else, this is the main event. Unbelievable co-main event.
I can also confirm to the people that are watching this on TNT Sports and Discovery Plus, Nick Peet has watched every single second of that from Valentina Shevchenko. He has not missed a beat. Absolutely not. Before we get back to her, I want to talk Weili, Mike, because her evolution has been truly sensational. Every single time I watch her, it seems that she's leveling up. Every single fight. Even now at 36 years of age, I know she looks a lot younger, but she's 36. She just still seems to be getting better.
because she's so motivated to be the best fighter that she can be. And then on top of that, she's so proud to represent her country of China. Because remember, that was kind of underrepresented for the longest time in mixed martial arts, which is crazy because obviously China has such a steep history of martial arts. And then, of course, along comes Zhang Weili. She becomes the first ever champion. She becomes a global sensation. People love her. They love the way she fights. And she takes that so seriously. I'm telling you, I was just out in Thailand when I arrived to the gym where I was teaching a seminar. Who was there? Zhang Weili, just working on the Thai pads, cracking away. She's a great wrestler. She never ever gets tired.
Did she not come to your seminar?
She did say she was coming to the seminar. She did say that, but she wasn't there. You know, I was quite offended, to be honest. I could have shown her a trick or two. I could have improved some things. She would have knocked Shevchenko out, no problem, had she had been to that seminar, you know. But that's just who she is. You know what I mean? She's just itching and just striving to get better every single time. And the fact she's taking on Valentina Shevchenko, I mean, it just speaks to her goals, her aspirations, and what she wants to do in this sport. It's phenomenal.
Mike, Valentina's had a go at this before. She tried to go up in weight and just fell short against Amanda, of course. That was when she was hunting. Now she's the hunted. What's the difference in the mentality there for her coming into this on Saturday?
To be honest, I think it's just business as usual. You know, you got to defend your belt and you're only as good as your last win or your last fight. Simple as that. And she wants to defend her belt. So I don't think much changes in that regard. She's always under immense pressure. As you said, a ridiculous amount of time in exclusively only title fights. So nothing really changes. And she knows she's got Zhang Weili, who's extremely motivated to become a double champion, to go down in history, to go down and reach iconic status. So she's got to work her tail off to prepare for this matchup. When you look at the matchup, though, I do believe it kind of favors Shevchenko. I think she's cleaner on the feet. She's more polished. Remember, she was well known for her kickboxing before she came over to mixed martial arts. And now you see she's adding in the wrestling. She's adding in the trips. And of course, she's got chokes on there and submissions as well. So Zhang Weili is very good. I don't think she's quite as polished on the feet. Is she going to be big enough and strong enough and able to wrestle her and take her down? That's what makes this a fight. That's what makes it so interesting, because outside of wrestling, I don't think standing with her and trading with Shevchenko is necessarily the path to victory.
Going to be great. Co-men and men, done. Super fights galore. Now, if you thought that we were about to clear off and leave you there, just hold your horses, Tonto, because this main card is off the chain. Number 2 versus number 8 in the welterweight division. Sean Brady. He came, he beat Leon Edwards. He's looking for the super fight, but everybody seems to be all matched up. Up pops Michael Morales. Possibly the most dangerous matchup that he could take on right now, and he's doing it in New York at Madison Square Garden, Mike.
Yeah, well, Sean Brady said, I'm going to have to face this guy at some point anyway. So regardless, give me him now. He did want Ian Gary, but he wasn't able to get that matchup. So he's like, you know what? Screw it. Give me Michael Morales. And he's absolutely right. If he is going to go on to become a champion, Michael Morales would have been there tapping on the door saying, hey, I want a title fight. The man is 18-0. He's undefeated. He's absolute dynamite to watch inside the octagon. Very dynamic, explosive, knockout power, and beautiful striking. But it all comes down to, because we know how Sean Brady likes to fight, he's one of the best grapplers in the welterweight division. Can he stop a takedown? Simple as that. Can he stop the takedowns of Sean Brady? Because if he can't, he's in for a very, very long night.
You got to love the attitude, Nick, of Sean Brady to take this on at this particular point when you thought that he'd be looking up the division. He's now obviously looking at what's coming up behind him.
Yeah, but it sends out a signal to everybody else that he wants to stay active. He's willing to take on arguably the most dangerous who needs him fighter at 170 pounds. You know, Morales is 18-0 with a ton of finishes on there as well. But Mike talked earlier about Bilal being the perfect setup for Islam. Well, if you're Sean Brady, you've just beaten Leon Edwards, who's very much a heavy striker and has accomplished a lot more at this point in time than Morales. So yeah, you know what? That was probably Sean Brady's best career performance as well, by the way. Ragdolled Leon everywhere in London and then got the submission. He will be thinking, that's it now. Rinse and repeat. I want to do exactly the same thing. And Mike's right. This is all about, can Morales stop a takedown? Now, he looked phenomenal. His last 2 fights especially, he's 6-0 in the UFC, 4 bonuses, but it's the last 2 performances since he's got into ranked territory back-to-back first-round finishes. Neil Magny, the gatekeeper. Gilbert Burns, been there, done it, Dr. T-shirt. The better the opponent, the bigger the performance. That's what Sean Brady's got to stop.
How impressed have you been with Michael Morales, though, Mike, since he came into the UFC? I know it's only 6 fights. You mentioned that it's 18-0 as an MMA guy, 13 knockouts, but his performances in the UFC have really caught everybody's attention.
Yeah, ever since he was on the Contender Series back in 2021, we knew we had something special on our hands. They've got him listed as 6 foot. I call nonsense on that. He's not 6 foot. He's way bigger than that. He's absolutely massive. He's ripped beyond belief. There's not an ounce of fat on this guy, and he's just getting better and better. But as I said before, can you stop a takedown? Because if you can't stop a takedown against Sean Brady, it's going to be an early night. Yes, he beat Gilbert Burns, but Gilbert Burns, he was... I don't want to talk badly about Gilbert because we all love Gilbert, but he'd lost a few and he's getting a little bit older and maybe retirement looms sometime soon. Sean Brady is on the flip side of that. Sean Brady is firing on all cylinders and he's hungry to be the champion. So this is a very, very difficult matchup. But on the flip side, if Sean can't take him down, it's going to be a tough night at the office because Morales is big and he's got very, very powerful strikes. And remember, the only loss on Sean Brady's record was to Belal Muhammad when he couldn't take him down. Yeah. And Belal Muhammad turned into Canelo, if you ask him.
He did, He did, absolutely.
He literally did.
Incidentally, on that point as well, of Morales, look at his history, look at his background. His mum was a world-class judoka. She was like a referee at the Olympic Games in judo, her background. So he's been doing judo since the age of 5. His story in mixed martial arts was judo, then wrestling. The striking came after that. So grained in his very being, Morales is a grappler. Interesting.
Well, that's one of our welterweight bangers at UFC 322 taken care of. We've got another one here, and it's an absolute massive fight for Leon Edwards as he takes on Carlos Prates. The magnitude that is on this fight for Leon Edwards, Mike, coming into this on Saturday night is absolutely massive.
Yeah. Tremendous pressure coming into this one. Of course, he became a champion. He defended the belt a couple of times, having a tremendous career. Goes up against Belal in Manchester last year. Doesn't go his way. Loses the belt over 5 rounds. Comes back in March against Sean Brady. And again, another disappointing night. Kind of got smothered and then sadly finished in the 4th round. Now he's taking a little time away, blow off the cobwebs. Just enjoy the fruits of your labor a little bit, but now he's coming back. He's lost 2 in a row. He's saying he wants to be the champion again. He said he's going to beat Carlos Prates. He's going to beat Ian Gary. Then he's going to fight for the belt. Okay, and that's a great plan to have. But it all starts with beating Carlos Prates. And Prates, as we know, man, he is no walk in the park. Now, they're going to meet in the middle, okay? And Carlos Prates is not going to be hard to find. He isn't going to try and take him down. He's going to go right at Leon Edwards. So Leon better be ready. And in the past, given the style of Leon Edwards, he is a patient, calculated, very, very accurate and deadly striker. Okay, Carlos Prates is going to get right in his face. Simple as that. There's going to be no hanging back, leaning against the fence and picking shots. Prates is an all-action fighter and he's flying high. He just knocked out Jeff Neal. Yeah, he lost to Ian Gary over 5 rounds. Had some big moments in the 5th round, but he will have learned from that. Certainly seems like it when he knocked out Jeff Neal. So he's going to go right at Leon Edwards. So Leon Edwards has got to be ready from the opening bell because let's remember, this isn't 5 rounds. This is only 3 rounds as well. So it's very, very high stakes here coming into this one for both men, to be honest. But for Leon, of course, a lot of pressure.
Nick, Carlos Prates has been just must-watch TV since he came into the UFC, hasn't he? All his victories have come via finish. Mike's just highlighted there that he did lose to Ian Gary, but it was late replacement, wasn't it? Coming into that particular fight and the first time over 25 minutes. As Mike said, he will have definitely learnt a lot. But when he's on fire, when he's game planned for an opponent, he is absolutely unreal.
I'm seeing exactly that in the summer when he bounced back in with Jeff Neal, another tough, strong welterweight, and absolutely smashed them to bits in the first round. The fact it's over 3 rounds absolutely favours Carlos, 100%, because that's the way he fights, and we know he can fight all out, and that bounce back win will have done his mental health so much good. He got manhandled a little bit. He got outthought and outfought by Ian Garry. But Ian Garry can do that because, Ian Garry's an outstanding striker and has got one of the most astute fight IQs in this weight class. But he'll learn from that, and he did learn from that, and he's bounced back from that. And he'll come into New York with his tail up high. Where's Leon at? That's all we need to know. That for me, I know what version of Carlos Prates we're going to get. We're going to get the very best version. What version of Leon Edwards is left in there? Has the fire been reignited inside his belly? No one expected, let's be honest, we were all there. No one expected Belal to turn up and do that performance. It wasn't just the wrestling, it was the hands as well, as Mike said earlier on, turning into a prime Canelo Alvarez, if you like. Belal was phenomenal that night. It was his night in Manchester. But the bounce back against Brady couldn't have gone any worse because Leon looked flat-footed that night. He looked like he had no reply whatsoever to Sean Brady's style, even though he became champion on the back of defending that very style, a heavy grappling style. He was too patient, backing up against the fence, allowed Brady free shots at him. Carlos Prates is not going to shoot at him, but Mike's right. Carlos Prates is going to be on him straight away, looking to unload massive bombs and looking to take Leon's head off. Leon has to be ready. The first 5 minutes of this fight could be the most dangerous 5 minutes of Leon Edwards' career.
Stylistically, Mike, do you look at this one actually as a positive for Leon Edwards? Let me try and give some type of context to his last two defeats, because everything you've said, gents, is bang on, absolutely bang on. The performance against Belal Muhammad, right? Let's try and give some context to it. It's in the middle of the night. He didn't prepare for it properly, and maybe he underestimated Belal, and he got beat. He got beat well. The fight with Sean Brady, he was actually preparing for Jack Della Maddalena, a completely different style.
Yeah.
And then obviously the replacement comes in. Maybe he wasn't bang up to speed for what Sean Brady was bringing him. There's no excuse. He asked for a striker. He's got a striker. And he's been having a full camp for this particular striker. Does it suit his style, Mike, is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, so I don't know if it does. And I'm just being brutally honest, because you got to remember, Leon's been a part of 5-round fights now for the longest time. And that kind of subconsciously alters your style. It just does. And certainly when you're used to fighting these grapple-heavy kind of styles over and over and over again, subconsciously, you start to throw less, because when you throw, you present an opportunity for somebody to take you down. And that has been one of the criticisms about Leon, that there hasn't been too much volume. And now you want a striker that matches your style, but you're kind of a striker that was a kickboxer that became an MMA wrestling defending kickboxer. Now you're fighting a guy that's a kickboxer, a guy that's knocking people out, knocked out Li Jingliang, Charles Radke, Neil Magny, Jeff Neal, a guy that's hungry, a guy that knows he can knock people out, a guy that's smoking cigarettes straight after the fight because he doesn't give a damn. But this is the kind of guy that he is. He's a wild guy. He's wild in the octagon. He's wild outside of the octagon. And that's why people love him. And that's why, again, it's a little bit of a pressure cooker of a situation. Not that Leon can't win. Of course he can. He was the champion of the world, for crying out loud, but he's got to bite down on his mouthpiece. He's got to go back to the earlier times in his career when he was a little bit more reckless. He's got to find that animal instinct inside him again, because if he stands there and tries to get too technical with Carlos Prates, he might find himself losing 3 in a row.
Just to finish on this particular fight, because it kind of is part of this lovely story that we've got going on in the welterweight division over a couple of weeks. We've got the title fight, as we've just been speaking about here at MSG. We've already previewed another cracking fight just previous to this. And then next week, we've mentioned Belal a couple of times. We've mentioned Ian Garry. They're going at it, aren't they, in Qatar?
Yep.
This, Nick, might actually come down to the way people perform. It's not just about winning over the next couple of weeks, is it? It's about actually making the statement in order to get your shot at the king next.
100%, especially because the leading contender, the undefeated guy in this weight division, Shavkat Rakhmonov, has been out for an entire year because of his knee injury. And we're now being told Shavkat's going to be back late January, maybe early February. So there's a line now. There's a deadline for one of these welterweights to slam their fist down on the table and go, I've got to be next because of look at what I've just done. That's the opportunity they've got, because once Shavkat comes back, he will get his shot because he's the number one contender.
And by the way, if Islam Makhachev beats Jack Della Maddalena, all bets are off.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen then. That could potentially throw the division into disarray. You know, or so you got to think that a lot of people are, when I say a lot of people, I mean other contenders in the division, they want Jack to win. You know what I mean? Because then again, it's business as normal. Maybe Islam goes back down to 155, has a super fight with Ilia Topuria. We don't know. But then just normal action resumes in the welterweight division and they all get a crack at Jack or whoever it may be. So anyway, a lot of storylines. It's crazy because the welterweight division is now the lightweight division from a couple of years ago. Yeah. It really is the hottest division in all of the UFC right now.
Well, you've just led me in nicely to the fact that kicks off this main card in the lightweight division. See that segue, Mr. Bisping? Super stuff. Beneil Dariush, Benoît Saint Denis starts us off. This starts us off on the main card. What a fight, Mike.
Benoît Saint Denis is never involved in a boring fight. It's as simple as that. Yes, he lost to Dustin Poirier and then followed that up against Renato Moicano, but he came back. Kyle Prepperleg, Maurizio Hufi, first person to beat him, made mincemeat of him and finished him in Paris. But of course, Beneil Dariush is not an easy man to take out. He is a veteran of the sport. He's been around for the longest time. He is fighting nothing but the best people time after time after time again. This is a tremendous fight because for Beneil Dariush, it represents a challenge, an opportunity to show the world, hey, listen, I can still beat these young up-and-coming contenders. And it also offers Benoît Saint Denis a chance to say, hey, listen, I'm for real. Yeah, I slipped a couple of times. I lost a couple of fights, but don't write me off just yet. I am destined to become a champion and represent France at the highest level.
We were all in Paris that night that he beat Maurizio Hufi. Nick, incredible. You were absolutely blown away with Benoît Saint Denis' performance from a point of some serious reinvigoration there. It's like he's got the bit between his teeth again.
Yeah, and sometimes fighters need to have a humbling experience just to make them regroup, and he certainly had that in Paris the year before against Renato Moicano. There's absolutely no shame whatsoever in losing to Dustin Poirier. He was trying to leap into the top 2, top 3 in the world at the time, but that loss to Moicano is one that hurt him, and to see him bounce back against Hufi was outstanding and really reaffirmed him once again as a top 10 lightweight and certainly on the radar for France and their hopes of getting a UFC champion. But I will do a little bit of MMA maths here and say that same Moicano that absolutely beat the brakes off BSD in his hometown faced Dariush in June. And Dariush, after a 15-month of inactivity, cruised to a points decision. So that's the level that Dariush is at. I know he's a veteran now, 36 years of age. I followed his career since day dot. I remember when he came out in Abu Dhabi about 10 years ago. I was there and seen him fight that night, and he's been on a crazy journey. But he's got 6 losses on his record. Every single one of them a finish. He's never lost on points. That shows you how technical he is. You've got to put this guy away to beat him. Can BSD put him away inside 15 minutes? Because if he doesn't, if it does go to the judges, it'll be Dariush getting his arm raised.
What a way to kick off this main card. Gents, I always ask you for something off the prelims. Come on, give me that spice. Mike, what you looking at?
You want a little bit of spice? I'll give you a RoboCop. Gregory Rodriguez taking on Roman Kopylov. 2 tremendous fighters, 2 big guys for the middleweight division. Roman Kopylov, always in fun fights, beautiful head kicks, nice footwork and all the rest of it. Gregory Rodriguez, I mean, pick your poison. The man's one of the best grapplers in the UFC. He's a multiple-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion, except he's going out there and knocking everybody out. And that's just how stacked this fight card is, from top to bottom. Nick's going to have a great pick, but we've got Kyle Dawkins versus Gerald Meerschaert. We've got Erin Blanchfield on there as well. You know, it wasn't that long ago. She was the main event against Manon Fiorot. So, you know, I mean, take your pick. But Nick, what did you go for?
I'm going to go actually with 2 names that might not be familiar with many UFC fight fans, and that's Wellmaker versus Haddon. People are probably thinking, why are these 2 young guys on this sensational card and so high up on the prelims, not on the early prelims? Well, I'll tell you why. Wellmaker is an absolute monster. 10-0 in his career, 8 finishes. He's got a right hook that puts people to kip with one shot. Last 2 fights in the UFC, both first-round finishes, both with right hooks. He had an extensive amateur career as well, so that 10-0 record gives a bit of a misconception about how experienced he actually is. And then in the other corner, you've got this crazy Aussie from Perth called Haddon, who is 8-1 in his career with 7 finishes. And just to remind you guys, who stole the show in Abu Dhabi. It was the man from Perth, Sal Killed, who scored one of the most incredible knockouts we've ever seen. This guy, Haddon, spars with him every day. So this is the one to put your money on for the performance bonus.
God. There you go. We are all set for an absolute cracker at UFC 322. Two fighters looking to achieve greatness on the very same card as Chinese powerhouse Zhang Weili moves up to face the flyweight GOAT, Valentina Shevchenko. And then Islam Makhachev looks to capture his own second belt when he takes on welterweight champ Jack Della Maddalena for the title. It all goes down live Saturday night on TNT Sports and Discovery Plus. The prelims kick off at 1 a.m. with the main card from 3. Do not miss it.